lots to talk about in this question, and I will try to sort of, break it down for you. I suppose the first bit is kind of, working out what can be saved. What can you afford to save on a regular basis? And this is probably starts with an expenditure analysis, working out what's coming in, what's going out, and then you can start to identify what can be saved on a regular basis. That's probably the first question to ask yourself. Then need to sort of think about whether or not you should be saving. Actually, are there debts that you have that should be paid before you start committing to a savings or an investment plan? And then this is the balance between good debt and bad debt. So working out kind of what is bad debt, so unsecured debt, credit card debt, or payday loans even, compared to good debt, which could potentially be a mortgage. So working out the balance there and whether or not you should be paying off debt before you begin your savings effort. Then think about priorities and timescales. What are you saving for? And when is that? What is the timescale around that goal? And then really what you can start to have is a saving versus an investing conversation. If you have shorter term plans, it is likely that saving is the best option for you, keeping it in cash, keeping it secure, keeping it liquid for shorter term goals. Where if you're thinking about saving for a longer term goal, maybe a property purchase or a wedding for a child, or a home potentially, then longer term timescales, we can start to have an investment conversation rather than a savings conversation. So think about the timescales involved in what you're actually saving for. And that will also help with the risk conversation, how much risk and how the asset class and the vehicles we actually choose to save or invest in will be heavily dictated by your interpretation of risk, and B, your timescale. The longer and more risk on you are as a person, the easier it is to have a conversation about more asset classes than just cash. We can start to think about fixed income or equities as well. Other questions to ask yourself is how to be tax efficient. So how do you make sure that you are using the right account types, whether it's ISAs, or pensions, or even other accounts beyond those? How can you make sure that your saving and investment efforts are as tax efficient as possible? And that will broadly come down to the account type you use. But also it'll start to have conversations, start to have implications as a family. It might be that as a family you have multiple ISA or pensions or allowances on an annual basis, and using all of your family allowances effectively will be the most effective way for you to save, either individually or as a family. And then beyond that, I think kind of making sure that if you are saving as a team or with a partner, that your goals are realistic and aligned. You need to make sure that you are both saving towards the same goal, and it is broadly achievable. One of you can't be thinking that the pot is for a Ferrari, and the other one thinks it's for house renovation. You need to be aligned on this so that you can both optimize and plan around the best way to do that. And this is a huge amount of work that we do with our clients, sitting around the table with families or with couples and working out how we optimize their saving and investment journey for them as a team. And drawing up plans and commitments is part of our work with most of our clients. So those would be broadly the questions that you should be asking yourself as you start to think about starting a saving or even investment journey.